Welcome everyone to the first edition of Vows and Vendors Wedding Podcast. I am Joshua Matos, and I'm not alone on this set. Joining me is my beautiful wife,
Ren! My name is Renata, but you can call me Ren.
Yeah, definitely. We're gonna have a lot of fun on this podcast.
Yes.
Like the name says, it's Vows and Vendors. We're gonna be talking all things weddings, and it's coming from the standpoint of us being videographers, cinematographers, to be more specific. Yeah. And we're going to actually have more vendors eventually as each episode progresses. And we're going to be talking to other photographers, DJs, everything as it pertains to weddings, we're going to be talking about on this podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Looking forward.
Yeah, so just a little bit of background for us, who we are, who is JDM Cinematography.
JDM. Would you like to tell us your full name, Joshua?
I said it already.
No, you didn't say your full name. You said your first name.
I think I said Joshua Matos.
You did?
Play it back and see. But yes, Joshua Matos stands for JDM Cinematography.
Right. So you need to explain it anymore. Yeah. You were that vain that you chose to name your business.
When the name
JDM
came about, that was like over 10 years ago, not giving away too much of my age, but at the same point in time.
Yeah, you started the business at around 5 years old.
And at 5 years?
Yeah, I just said well done. You're still young.
Good looking out. But yeah, at that point in time, that's when like the name thing was kind of going on where you would name stuff.
After
initials, yeah. And I don't think it needs to change. Well, actually, the name did change. It started off as JDM Productions and now it's JDM Cinematography.
Then he decided to jump out himself and add a word that he could not spell at the time, cinematography.
Oh, it's a shortcut. I spelled Productions. Remember, I wanted to name it JDM Prods, eh?
Prods?
Yeah. Short for Productions.
Joshua, this is not something you air or tell the public.
Too late. But yes, JDM Cinematography is a company that specializes in videography. We don't only do weddings, we do content creation, commercials, music videos, anything to deal with videos. But this podcast is mainly going to show the aspect or the arm of the wedding industry through JDM Cinematography.
Yes, hopefully bring a little more insight into, just things from a vendor perspective, because brides and grooms, they have a vision of how they want their wedding day to look.
Right.
But it's really the vendors that actually come together to make that day, that special day, a reality. So,
definitely.
There are things that we will be discussing that could definitely benefits, brides and grooms, especially in the planning phase of their wedding.
Yeah, for sure. And as we're talking about JDM, let's just talk a little bit more about
Joshua Matos, go ahead.
JDM. Let's talk a little bit more of the way in which we do weddings.
Yeah.
It's one thing we really are proud of. We've been doing weddings for about 10 years, but for 8 years, it was more like a hobby, you could say.
Yeah. It was a hobby.
Yeah, we were involved in broadcast television. Yeah. So once people saw you, they were like, hey, you could film a wedding, right? Yeah, specific on the film. And so, we did weddings for the last 10 years.
Just to be, sorry, I need to interject here. We don't film nothing here, okay? We film weddings. This company does not film nothing.
Just to be clear, disclaimer. But so for the past 8 years, first 8 years, it was more on a hobby basis. But the past 2 years, we could say we really did it a lot more regularly.
Do you remember when you wanted to stop doing weddings?
No. You were talking about this last night, and I have no recollection of me telling you that.
Yeah, you literally. We would still do it.
That's not something you should really tell people that may want to
book us, It's our story, and I'm going to hide that. We, like you mentioned before, we were more heavily into television, and that's an area we're very, very passionate about.
Still.
And two, back in the day, the way how the wedding videography landscape was not like a thing. Yeah. If you record your wedding, it's just like a 2-3 camera shoots. It's not the cinematic thing that you see now. So I'm guessing, because the world has evolved, we have adapted to, possibly fill an area that there's clearly a demand.
Yeah. So if you're viewing, we love to film weddings now.
We always did. I wouldn't say we didn't. It's just, wedding videography looked very different 10 years ago compared to what it is now.
And as I say, bringing it to present now, what we try to do in our videography, in our cinematography, is to tell a story. I mean, it's very easy just to put up 3 cameras, hit record, and you give someone a wedding. But it's different when you actually, when someone who wasn't at the wedding could watch a video and be like, wow, and keep watching it.
It's not just wow. It's not just wow. It is, they should be able to capture the very emotion of the day.
Yeah.
And also, in addition to the emotion of the day, the wedding should depict who the couple is as people. So one size won't fit all here.
Yeah, definitely. I know something that's becoming very popular in the States is like the reality style of filming weddings. It hasn't necessarily reached, I would say, the Caribbean aspect of it. And not that I'm kind of glad, because my take on it is I think there's a balance between the both.
Yeah.
Because the reality TV style of filming weddings, you get a lot of stuff that you would normally capture, but I think it's still very necessary to get those slow motion shots, to get the couple doing certain things that enhances any film.
You're saying that, but I'm sure you're probably confusing people that probably aren't vendors. So for the sake of the bride and groom and their understanding, what would you describe filming documentary style compared to, should I say, cinematically? I mean, it goes hand in hand, but you know.
Yeah. I think the main difference is in those videos, you don't tend to, you get a lot of raw moments that you won't necessarily film. And it's the emphasis, yes, it's still on the wedding ceremony, but it has a lot more emphasis on stuff that you may not want to actually press record for. So meaning like the bridal prep. It's not just filming makeup going on. You're actually having conversations, talking. You're actually seeing real things that maybe in a wedding film you might just put together 2 minutes of a little
of
montage.
The best footage, of the best moments.
Yeah.
But
so,
documentary style will capture the real aspect of the wedding day.
Yeah.
Maybe something went wrong. How does that look?
Things that you may not say, Lord, let me put that in, but you might just get a really nice sound bite. The camera might even be shaky, maybe out of focus, but you still use it. So, but with me, I may not necessarily, I might use the sound bite, but I might find something, a piece of footage that looks a lot more appealing. So I think our style really brings the two together in a sense. You get the essence of, you get those moments where the bride is talking to her mother before, you get those interviews with persons, and you also get those cinematic shots, because I personally believe every bride and groom film that we film, they need to be the movie stars of that film. And certain shots just are needed,
Yeah. I think it adds a balance too. Documentary style doesn't necessarily scream love and romance to me. And that's just my opinion. So I feel like that bringing those nice slow motion shots and incorporating the whole story aspect of the documentary style, it really is what makes our product unique and extremely different from what you would see traditionally, even here in our local market.
Yeah, definitely. So as we on the topic of videography, why do you think videography is important for a wedding? You mentioned it before. 10 years ago, and I would even say some people have that idea that videography is probably the last thing you might, if it's there, it's there. It's not something like photography. You need a photographer for a wedding. You need a DJ for your wedding. You need, certain vendors. And videography, I still think it's a lot better now. I would definitely say it's not the same as 10 years ago, but it still has a, how would you say it? It's
a bit of hesitation there.
Yeah.
Like
it's not a necessity.
It's not I think that probably is twofold. It's a matter of preference on the bride and groom's path, as well as I think traditionally we've not, think about this. This is not just a 10 years ago thing. 10, 15, 20, since your grandmother was a little baby. Photography has always been the thing to capture moments. So I think that plays a very crucial role in terms of people seeing it as a necessity or not. We've been taught traditionally that, we need photos to capture certain important moments of our lives. And those are the that's just the route some people decide to go. But to answer the question, why should we, shift that perception and include videography as a definite must-have?
Yeah, and I'll always go back to, I remember we did this wedding, I think it was in 2022, and it was just a short film, so it was just like a 15-minute highlight reel of the day. And when I sent it to the bride, she messaged me back and was like, because it was also last minute, it wasn't, we wouldn't book way in advance.
Yeah.
Everything else was booked way in advance, and this was, they had the budget to add that on. And her message was simply, wow, I am so glad that we decided to hire you. I am literally reliving every aspect of that day through that video.
Yes.
And
that's the difference between photos and video.
Yep. You're pushing some buttons there.
I'm not
They
knocking.
will come for you in the comments,
I don't care. Come for me. Come for me. We're going to fight. No, I'm not knocking photography, but I'm saying that emotion, you cannot. I'm speaking from, let me draw from my own personal
experience. And we will
experience.
be a little biased because of our love for video as well.
Yeah, but I feel like video, and this is not just talking about weddings, just video in general.
Yeah.
I feel like a video's ability to provoke certain emotions, I don't get that from pictures. And again, I'm not just saying this is specific to wedding. This is just me generally.
Yeah.
So I think on that front, that's why you should film your wedding.
Yeah.
Like, trust me, there are things you
and
are
also photograph your wedding, but that's also the importance of video. And like I said, we are going to have photographers. Probably our next episode will have a photographer, so the photographer will be able to have their say as it pertains to how they feel about things as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But as you said, at the end of the day, I think you can relive that day more through a video than through photos, if that makes sense.
It's in a sense, yes. In a sense, yes. I think as well, I mean, we're married for what, 6 years? It's gonna be
About
roughly around there, right? Under 10. We know it's under 10 for sure. And when you look back at your wedding video, you'll be like, wait, that happened? So,
Yeah.
I mean, there are things as well in there that would be captured on a day that you can, like Josh mentioned,
she talking,
relive.
Ask her how much times. Every time I say, babe, let's rewatch our wedding video. What's your response?
Why?
Nah, I don't want to watch that. But I think it was more to the extent of how it was captured.
Yeah.
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 Not sure in shade, but I couldn't film my own wedding, so.
He did promise me like 15 years ago that he would film my wedding, but he never really lived up on that promise.
Yeah.
Anyways. Because he decided to marry me.
Yeah, things changed.
He decided to marry me.
So let's move on to when brides and grooms actually book a videographer, some tips as it pertains to actually choosing a videographer. I think in this world, everything is on Instagram, everything is on TikTok, and we try our best to really that's our way of showing our work, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I also think it's a way in which you can hide certain things that you could cover up, basically.
Yeah, because on Instagram, and I mean, this is not just from a business perspective, you always post your best.
Yeah.
And beyond just nice cinematic shots put together with some romantic sounding music, there are various other things to consider. Is your videographer going to be on time? How long is he going to take to deliver your wedding after? There's so many other variables.
Yeah. So one thing I really say, the first thing you would see is probably the little trailers.
Yeah.
And all that's fine. I'm just saying, dive a little bit deeper. Don't base your decision just on that, There's certain things you could ask a videographer, okay, well, I'm seeing the 1 minute trailer, we love it, but could we see a full wedding? That you probably did, just to see how that's captured. Now, in this industry, a lot of couples, some may want the entire thing recorded, some may just want a trailer video, which is totally fine.
We live in a trailer world.
Exactly. It's totally up to the couple what they want. But you never know. You may see a 1-minute trailer and say, wow, that looks amazing. And you're expecting your 1-hour film
to look that
exactly like that.
Listen.
Yeah.
That is something that needs to be discussed, one. And I mean, don't take anything for granted, because the way a videographer would shoot to make something that is 1 hour look like your 1 minute fancy trailer is going to require a lot more of attention to detail and time as well.
Yeah.
And it has to be discussed before.
Yeah, definitely. So that's what I'm saying. Ask you tough questions. At the end of the day, you're making a decision, and you know what you want, and you need to make sure that they deliver. So don't just take their word for it, because another thing, and I will always tell every videographer, you want to book that client, you want to, get that job, but be honest with the clients, let them, you must have limitations. And if it is they're asking for something that you don't necessarily provide, don't just take the booking just to get a booking, And
that's fine. I think in from any, industry, or regardless of where, what industry you work in, that is something that's important, finding the right fit. And not everybody is going to be the right fit, and that's okay.
Yeah. So just some simple questions like that I would be able to give you to ask. Like literally ask them, I would say mainly, let me see a full wedding video, a full thing, as well as how many team members do you have? Because there are videographers out there who are running weddings solo, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
I have done weddings where it's just me. I don't have a second shooter. And it comes out well. But obviously if I have a second shooter, a third shooter, different camera angles, obviously that will increase the quality and standard of
And
the
again,
film.
that's where it comes down to, let me see a full recording. So those are, depending on how they shoot, you'll be able to pick up on certain things when you look at an entire wedding.
Definitely. So definitely ask those tough questions. All right, so moving on, a trend that is really popular right now in the United States. It hasn't reached Trinidad yet. We saw it in little glimpses, but it's on a
not to the extent.
Yeah, it's on a more professional.
We have it. Amateur shooters, that's what in Trinidad.
Is wedding content creators. Yeah. So let me just describe what that is. It's basically someone you hire outside of your videography team that will come to your wedding to get all those, trending reel videos, everything for TikTok. Yeah, so they don't have a big setup. They always probably come with their phone with a small gimbal probably. And that's what they're just there to do. You probably hire them for 5 reels, 10 reels, whatever it may be. We had the experience in one wedding recently that we did. It wasn't a wedding content creator. She was just a
friend who decided, I guess was given the responsibility of taking content.
And she's also very, she's on TikTok a lot, so she knows everything. And that's what she was doing. And I personally didn't have a problem with it because she was very respectful. Yeah. She understood what we needed to capture. I understood what she needed to capture. And the night went smoothly. But what do you think about that? Even it being a form of income for people starting to do that on their own.
Oh, hell yeah. Like, I am not against that at all. Actually, I embrace it. However, the concern I would have with regards to having an additional person, and by additional person, I mean, on a wedding day, you have the photographer or photographers, because some weddings have multiple shooters. Yeah. From the photography perspective, as well as videographers. And usually we have either 3 team or 2, no less than 2 persons on all our weddings. With that in mind, it means that you are required to share your workspace. Now, your workspace is not an office. It is a little aisle most times. Yeah. And think about this. The front is one area and everybody is shooting in the same direction from different angles. So once the content creator is aware of those things and is respectful of the space, and I can't wait to get a photographer in here because that is something that I want us to talk about, working in a shared space, because it requires a certain level of, respect, but communication.
Yeah, for sure.
The little looks like,
any shot I could pass.
Yeah, correct. So once they...
And the thing is, I'm just saying, out of like for someone who probably has just been in that realm of being an influencer or doing stuff like that, they may not know those things.
No, they would not know those things.
They would know the cues. They would know,
Yeah.
the aspect of, let me be respectful of this person. They
Yes.
might think, oh, well, if I walk in front of this camera, you have 2 other cameras there.
Yes.
So that shouldn't matter, when actually that's not the case.
Yeah.
So I think it's just communication.
So yeah, that definitely. Honestly, Joshua, I think everybody in a wedding needs to understand that the workspace of the videographer and the photographer is sort of off limits, even for guests.
That's a whole other
Yes,
topic.
that's a whole other topic.
When Granny wants to get a picture of
Yes.
her grandson and walking in
Yes.
front of the aisle.
It's because you in front of the camera, because you have to get the first kiss, because you live on Facebook or on a WhatsApp
streaming
call.
to at least 2 people.
Yeah. Joshua, behave yourself. Regardless, you are filming for whoever it is you want to send it to, and yeah, the videographer, the couple hired the videographer and the photographer to get to capture that moment.
Yeah.
And you upset the thing.
And
You upset the thing.
more than likely, the couple not even going to see that video, that tanty take.
No.
That is going to be on her phone for like
Yeah.
10 years.
So that's another thing. Vendors as well. Brides and grooms need to be aware of this. It's just a communication thing, It's nobody's fault really, because
Yeah.
nobody really ever says, we're guilty of this as well, Joshua. We don't converse with couples sometimes saying, hey, those people that may be,
Yeah.
filming, that's kind of off limit, because at the end of the day, and it may sound harsh, but it's actually not, because if you want your product to look a specific way, I'm sorry, retakes just don't cut it. The real thing is the real thing, period.
Yeah, there are certain things we could try to do over, but I'm not going to get that first
No,
look when you see your bride walking down the aisle for the first time. And I saw this video that I think summed it up so perfectly. It was right before a wedding was about to start, and the minister just stood up and said, hi everyone. I know everyone wants to take their photos and get their pictures, but we have professional people here doing it.
Yes.
And there would be a point in time where that will be allowed. And there are times where
Yes.
you could more than go and get your selfie with them or
Yes.
whatever picture it is. But there are certain moments that when the bride is walking down the aisle, I don't need to see 10 cell phones up in the air.
And I am
taping.
very sorry, unless you are the content creator and there is a certain level of communication between the content creator, photographer, videographer, that team.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have an iPhone from out of
iPhone
space. I whoever, right? It is not going to come out. And so I sorry, I know I'm knocking, but I don't mean to. I mean to. It's not going to come out looking the way that we will capture it, period.
Yeah.
So hold your phone, stay in your seat.
Enjoy the
preferably.
moment. Like,
correct.
You're
We will
literally
capture
there.
that. You could go and watch it after.
Yeah, you probably was a person that barely make it on the list in the first place, and you block your us.
Oh my god.
All right, moving on. So we're gonna kind of take this down right now.
Yeah, because it's hot.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask, so before we wrap it up, what is, if you had like a destination wedding shoot that we could go and capture, where would that be?
Destination. I think I love the look of Santorini, Greece. However, I feel like in Trinidad and Tobago, we are privy to experience weddings of varying cultures. And it would be nice to experience, we only experience this in a fraction of the way, regardless if it's an Indian wedding, Muslim wedding, Chinese wedding, whatever. But those weddings would be nice to experience in specific countries, like, for example, India.
Yeah.
Just the aesthetic
Of that,
yeah. The spaces you would have to take photos and pictures. It's a dream.
Yeah.
You never know, though.
For me, honestly, I don't know, I thought about it really hard to think of it as a place that I would
Joshua,
like
you would
to
want
go.
to tape a wedding
Well,
in some football thing.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, if I could, be good with one of the mates at
Right.
Old Trafford,
Yeah.
and just get
The altar would be the
they walk out
goal.
through the tunnel. Yeah, the altar could be the goal. Like that would be perfect. That might never
Right.
happen.
you might be giving people ideas here.
True.
Oh, brides, we apologize. If the grooms and them telling all you, hey, yeah, that's a real good idea.
I actually saw, what's it? On when they finished their wedding, they went at a football field. The guy was an actual footballer from Trinidad. He was a goalkeeper. So they went into Manny Ramchur and Artable and one of them, and they did some shots there, and he hashtag she's a keeper.
No pun intended.
Yeah. So Ren, as it pertains to the first look, now there are two ways it could be done. It could be done where the normal way, where the bride is walking on the aisle and the groom will see her for the first time. And then there's the second way, which is the first look before, where they are dressed probably in the same venue, and you set them up really nicely, and they walk up to each other, or the bride touches the groom on the shoulder, and that's their first look. Out of those two, is it a right and wrong? Do you think that the first look should really be like when she's coming on the aisle, or do you think the first look could be something staged in that manner?
I think it depends on the couple. I feel like couples that are a bit more vocal and expressive, doing it before allows us as videographers to capture that nice conversation of, wow, you look so beautiful, and then the groom will go walking around the bride just to see her dress and all that drama. So once they're very vocal and expressive, I think that works good for a couple like that. However, nothing is wrong with the good old traditional way of doing the first look.
I think one thing for me, it really depends on location. Like if you're getting ready at the same place, definitely try to do a first look. But if you're coming from two different directions, coming to the church, that's not going to work, because you're coming to one location to bring you out, to set you up. All the guests going to be there. They want to see you. And I'm pretty sure the bride doesn't want anybody to see her before as well. So it's a lot more, it's too difficult to do it in that sense. But if it is you're at the same place or really close by and could do it there, and I think I'm one for all. I am one that loves the first look outside of the church or outside of the temple. As you said, it really gives that moment where it doesn't have distractions. In the church it could be nice, but at the same point in time, you have a photographer and a videographer trying to capture her walking up. You have a lot of people going to be there, and
that's another thing. Like, I feel like in that moment too, not even the bridal party should be around, because they could be distracted.
Definitely. It really needs to be a time like, and we did it recently with our wedding. We did just a few months ago, and I told the groom, I was like, listen, this is your time. We're going to have a lot of stage stuff, but this is your time where if it takes 5 seconds, if it takes 5 minutes, we're not going to say, hey, we need to go. Take that time and really just admire your wife, because
soak in the moment. You're not going to get another first look, hopefully.
And in that way, you kind of get two looks.
What I want to add, though, multi-faith weddings allow for a little more creativity. And what I mean by that is you have, for example, a Hindu wedding, you have multiple days where you can, so for example, the ceremony day, you can have like one specific look, where you do the, you get what I'm saying, right? And if you are having also a Christian ceremony, for example, you could do the more traditional way. So if you have like multiple days of your wedding, which is very, very common for us here in Trinidad and Tobago,
for sure,
you can definitely maximize
doing that.
And get it in two different ways when you have your two different outfits and looks.
Yeah, definitely. But all these things, again, definitely talk to your videographer and photographers. Don't let it be on the day you're planning to do it. When you meet with them before, when you have those conversations, let them know, hey, I want to do a first look. So we already know, okay, we're coming here to get that as well. You don't want to wait last minute.
We're not winging it.
Exactly.
Not winging it.
Yes. So we've come to the end of our first podcast of Vows and Vendors. I don't know if you've seen the mug. Ren, where your mug? Why don't you have one Vows and Vendors mug on this set?
Just now, hold on. I'm coming back. My mug right here,
Oh, is a reveal.
My mug right here. Joshua went to buy this mug.
Ren, why it in pieces?
I don't know. Ask the floor, because it just decided, hey, that floor looking real good. And it pop out my hand, fall on the floor.
Right.
And it break in pieces. I can't even show you the little itty bitty pieces as it breaking. No mercy. There is no return for this mug, but it is Joshua's fault because the people tell him, pay an extra $15.
Even if I paid the extra $15 and the way that mug fell, it was still going to break.
No, Joshua, how are you to know this?
You want to try this one?
You cannot try it with that one. Obviously, it will break. Go back tomorrow, buy the box, and we will try it in the box.
Guys, if you all don't see Renata with a mug next week, that means she is unwilling to pay for one. Because I bought a mug for her, you know. But as you see, what happened. But like I said, this is the end of the first episode of Vows and Vendors. Enjoyed it?
Yes, I did. I can't wait for some of the other vendors. Don't forget, guys. Press like, subscribe wherever you're viewing this from. Drop us a comments, questions even, if there are things you'd like us to discuss. If you have stories as well, feel free to send them, inbox us. You can send them anonymously if you'd like.
Yeah, everything that you send will be
funny
anonymous.
Wedding stories, wedding fails. We want to hear it all.
Yeah, vendors that you like, vendors that you wish you didn't hire. Well, when I say
we're
vendors,
I'm
not
to
saying...
publish
Yeah, let me just
names.
make that known. It's not that we're going to call names, but yeah, like if you regretted not having a particular vendor, let us know and we'll definitely highlight it. Like I said, everything will be anonymous. But yeah, definitely share, follow us on Instagram at Vows and Vendors. We're definitely going to be doing a lot more of these with other vendors and we're going to have a really great time.
We will. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.